Great, so I hope you guys are now familiar with ImportXML, have a good idea of XPath, and have a pretty good understanding of how to pull data from any website on the internet into a Google spreadsheet. Now we're going to cover ImportHTML, which is another way to pull data from the internet into a Google spreadsheet. So we're going to go through the example here really quickly that Google Docs give us. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell it what URL we want it to pull data from. In that case, it's the Wikipedia page on the demographics of India. We're going to tell it if we want a table or a list. So that just defines the different kinds of data that will be found on this page. For example, this is a table, this is a table, this is a table, this is a table. Things like this are lists. And then last thing we're going to tell it is what table we want to pull from on the page. In this case, we'll pick the fourth table down. Now if we hit enter, let's see what we get. Boom. So what you're seeing is ImportXHTML is pulling in data from the fourth table, which you can see because we told table and the fourth table on the page, which is this one: rank, state/union territory, type, population, percentage, all of which you can see it is pulled into this table. Now, what would happen if we wanted to pull in the fourth list instead of the table? This is pulling in, let's see, 5.1 2020 estimate, 5.1, there we go. So it's pulling in this information. This is the fourth element, fourth list, on this Wikipedia page. Now, with ImportHTML, you can also pull all kinds of data. This is especially useful if you're trying to get data off of a web page that already has tables or any kind of list set up. So let's do an example. Let's pull a list of shoes, of different Nike shoes, using ImportXML. Wow, a lot of ads on the site. Pretty annoying. So what we're going to do is, this doesn't actually look like it's a list. It's just a long content page on a crappy page filled with ads. This is why I use ad block. So I need a new pair of Nike Frees. Now let's see if we can pull a list of Nike Frees. Do shop Nike Free. Perfect. Great. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this URL, use ImportHTML, paste that in between quotes, pull a list, and let's see what the first list on the page is. My guess it's some sort of title tag, and it is. If you look, this is pulling one of the first lists on the page. Is the order status, get help, these lists way at the bottom in the footer. Order status, get help, shipping and delivery, and the like. Now what if we wanted to pull the second list? Likely it's going to be, yep, this. Third list. So as you can see, it's pulling different groups of lists. That pulled this right here. Different groups of lists from within this page. Now, if you want to figure out, besides guessing, what list do we actually want to pull from, that involves viewing the source code. So what we're going to want to find is something called li tags, where we're seeing there are a bunch of lists on this page. So li stands for list item. UL stands for unordered list. So we're going to be able to see, how many different unordered lists on this page are there. And it looks like there are 92, which makes for quite a lot of searching. In this case, we can also play around and see, are these products listed in a table? Let's take the first product on the page, Nike Free 4.0. So this is part of a product name div class. Now, let's see. So this is pulling in data from a list. This is not. So the Nike Free 4.0 Flynet, you can see it's set in a paragraph tag. It's part of a div class named product name. And we could easily pull this in using ImportXML because the data is not easily accessible in a table or a list. ImportHTML is often much more useful when you have something like the Wikipedia page that we showed earlier, where, here we go, remove the quotation marks, where you just want to pull data that's in a list or easily identifiable table. If you have something that is more like this, where the data is a little bit unstructured, it's not clearly presented in a table or a list of some type, that's where you likely want to use ImportXML. So those are the difference between the two. Import.html just requires a little bit less setup. It requires no knowledge of XPath and is pretty much easier to use. ImportHTML is a lot more powerful, and what's more, it allows you to pull any kind of data off of any page that you want, as long as you know some XPath syntax, which is what we covered earlier. So that's the major difference between ImportHTML and ImportXML, is that one of them, ImportHTML, allows you, is the easiest way basically to pull structured data out of a web page. The other, ImportXML, can be used to pull any kind of data off of a web page, provided you know a little bit of XPath, which we reviewed in the last lectures. So that is it for ImportHTML and ImportXML. Next, we're going to be going into some macros and some other sorts of advanced things you can do with Google Spreadsheets. So I hope you've learned something. If you have any questions, please leave a comment or a question in the discussion area of the course, and I will totally get back to you. Would love to see some great student discussion about both of these powerful tools.